Hey cats, it's your midsole man EDDBUD here. It's time to take a closer look at some of the soon to be released or very recently released new running shoe models, checking out if they're worth picking up or not for a review on the channel. In today's episode, we're looking at the ENA PROTO Runner 1 and a host of different Nike shoes as well, including the STREAKFLY 2, the VAPORFLY 4, and that huge clog, the PEGASUS Premium. Lots to get through, so let's get to it. Thanks for tuning in, people. It is always appreciated. If you're yet to do so, please help us out by hitting that subscribe button below. It's free of charge, don't you know? Also, give this video a thumbs up like. That really helps out. As does dropping a comment below for the algorithm. Dankeschön. Running Shoe Yay or Nay is a series where I check out some very recently or soon to be released running shoes and let you know if I'm going to pick them up for review on the channel or not. There could be a good reason why, like the shoe's just not going to fit in my rotation or work for me personally. It might be that it's an absolute banger and I have to get hold of it. Well, I just can't sleep until I do. Okay, first shoe up today is from a new brand from Greece. This brand is pronounced ENA, as in sort of like E for elephant, rather than ENA, so ENA. This is the Proto Runner 1. This is a carbon-plated trainer, kind of similar, I guess, to something like the Tempo Next Percent from Nike, if that was a shoe you really enjoyed, or something like the Puma Fast R series. A significant decoupled like midsole design here, which features two different foam densities and a very unique outsole design. Almost like a trampoline area there in the heel, significantly raised foam up and around the back of the foot, so I'm anticipating some reasonable stability here. There's a hefty layer of rubber on the outsole. It appears a little thicker than perhaps most trainers you get these days in terms of the application, and a thermoplastic upper which is quite mesh-like. Again, it looks a bit like the Tempo Next Percent. You know, could this be the long-lost sort of cousin, you know, the future release that we always wanted? Kind of like this one, a nice simple design really, yet still looks new and different, something a little bit out of the ordinary for 2025. Though strangely natural all the same as well. I like the sort of shapes that we've got here and the design elements. Kind of keen to try out another carbon plated trainer really. Some of them have been great, some of them have been just a squash fest really and haven't really been all that propulsive. But I think the Proto Runner 1 here might be something a little different that we can look at on the channel just to bring a bit of, you know, a fresh face, a new brand. So it's a yay for the ENA Proto Runner 1. Now, Nike have revamped the STREAKFLY. There's a STREAKFLY 2 coming, and it's very, very odd looking, I have to say. We've had the STREAKFLY original version for a couple of years now. It's been in the Nike lineup for ages, it seems. Quite a low stack cushion, short range option, though durability of the original was always a little bit lacking, I suppose. It was easy to puncture that foam because you had so much exposed midsole down there. This time though, they're very much aiming the shoe at track workouts from what I can see. As you see here from the profile of the midsole, it's got a negative drop, which I think pretty much ends any mega interest that I've got in this shoe. I think it's going to be a sort of track trainer really rather than anything else. I can't see many people wanting to use this on the road. The midsole's now got a bit more foam up front in the forefoot, yet it's heavily carved out in the back, making this a faster track workout option only. Not one for the road for me, and I don't think you're really talking like longer range speed sessions either. It's going to be something for like intervals and repeats. Though I've always thought like the VAPORFLY 3 had an almost negative drop when you see the shoe when it sort of sat flush to the floor. It's sort of quite set back excessively really. And I always thought that was a bit of a strange design, but they've gone even further with that design here in the STREAKFLY 2. Profile of the heel area very similar to the AlphaFly 3. Cutouts in the forefoot midsole wall like the VAPORFLY 3 and the Zoomfly 6. A carbon fibre shank plate in that midsole to provide a bit of rigidity. And you got to say that was lacking a bit in the V1. I know you did have like a PEGA sort of shank in there, but it really didn't do an awful lot. It just stopped that sort of torsional twisting sort of around the arch area. The outsole appears to be a more waffle-like design, a bit more aggressive perhaps, than the wave type ridges on the V1. So all round, it's a bit of a niche shoe really. It's a bit of an odd change. They're very much moving the STREAKFLY to be something very different than what it was before. I know quite a few people use the STREAKFLY V1 as like a short range daily shoe, you know, with a bit of cushion there, but I think the Adios 9 actually has taken on that purpose, I suppose. That's a brilliant shoe if you want something that's a bit more responsive but it's going to work really well on the road without that negative drop. So it's a nay for me on the STREAKFLY 2. I just don't really see where I'd use it. Another release from the swoosh here, hotly anticipated, will be the VAPORFLY 4. We've got some better images now. I can really see what the shoe's like. I've got to be honest, it's a bit of a letdown. I really don't like these silvery pieces on the tongue. It looks really cheap. This one's going to be $260, which equates to about 212 Earth credits here in the UK. I can't see them selling it for less than $235 or $240 or something. There'll be a bit of a UK tax on that one, of course. It worked with everything else, you know. There's Alphafly-like vibes here in the heel area and also the underfoot cutouts on the outsole. The same fly plate printing on the carbon section and some really cheap looking rubber application here in the heel. I mean, Nike, why'd you pick this particular sample here? It just looks really dodgy, doesn't it? These promo images, you can see there's this big gap. When you're trying to sell a shoe that's quite expensive, you know, a top line shoe, you know, pick the good sample versions. You don't use these. The red looks perhaps the worst of all, actually. Almost hand-painted midsole areas here look a bit shoddy and rushed. Even worse than some that have appeared in the past. And if you're shelling out serious dough, I think it's going to put you off a little bit, some of these promo images. I'm not going to be too happy to get something there that looks like it's been drawn on with marker pen. The material on the upper reminds me of the VAPORFLY Next Percent 2. I did like that upper. Love that shoe, good lockdown, and it was a real force on foot. The curve here to the forefoot's very close to the outgoing VAPORFLY 3, and I can't help but think that Nike are trying to link up the whole racing lineup now, like the Alphafly 3, the VAPORFLY 4, and that Zoomfly 6. There's DNA, you know, across all those shoes. Very similar curves and lines to all of them. The outsole looks interesting, waffle lug stretched with small dots for traction, though you know that those wear off pretty quick. Similar heel padding to usual, and those awful foil-like reflective parts on the grey version. The off-white option's better here. I think that one's an absolute banger. I'd absolutely go for that off-white one. I think that is easily the best. Just simplicity in terms of the aesthetic look. Overall, we know this one's going to be lightish. I can't see it being sort of any lighter or heavier than the VAPORFLY 3, though perhaps a little bit more bounce due to that more excessive heel cutout area. But it's a carbon plate racer from Nike, but without the AirPods like the Alphafly, so it's just a continuation of that series. At least they've got rid of the offset lacing that some people really did not like. So maybe the offset lacing wasn't really necessary after all. I'm going to give a yay on this one. If I can get the off-white one, I might hold off until that comes out. The viewers will want to see an honest review on this one. We know that Nike never send me any shoes, so well, I can get a pair of them, I'll pick them up and see what the fuss is about. Last shoe up today from the swoosh. So we've got 3 in the yay or nay for today's video. It is the Nike Pegasus Premium. So it looks like this one may appear at the end of January. Now, some people seem to be very excited about this shoe, and some people not so much. I think I'm probably in the not so much category. There's reports that are like a UK 10 is going to be about 330 grams, which, yeah, it means my UK 11 is going to be around about 350, maybe a bit higher, and that makes her a pretty hefty shoe. And we do have a 45mm stack in the sample size, so it's going to be, you know, massive for me. 10mm drop as well. I never seem to get on all that well with shoes that have a 10mm drop, so I'm a little bit wary about this one as well. Everything's just sort of pushing me towards not bothering with it at all. Yes, you've got that full-length Zoom X section on top of a large full-length curved Air Zoom section too. We got some React X back there in the heel to try and stabilize the whole thing, but I seem to be gravitating away a little bit from these sort of very clunky bottom heavy offerings. Not that the upper actually seems all that light in the Pegasus Premium. The other thing is that's putting me off from this one, the reports are the shoe's going to be £185. Now, I'd take an invincible run over this one any day of the week. I just don't really see who this is aimed at. I don't really think it's needed. And that sort of level of weight, I mean, who really needs a shoe that's going to be 45mm heel stack, 10mm drop, load of air zoom, and all that weight. I just don't really see it selling. I could be wrong, I've been wrong in the past, but where you got such a banger like the Zoom Fly 6, and then you got this, which is more expensive, I just don't get it. So for me, it is a firm nay on the Nike Pegasus Premium. If you think I'm wrong, if you think I've lost my mind, let me know in the comments down below. Okay, that's all 4 shoes for today's video. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. It's always good to see them. Very quick musical interlude for you. Been delving back into drum and bass. Been doing lots of faster running at marathon pace actually, just to get me sort of tuned in, like really honed, so that I just feel it rather than have to think about it. To do that, I've been utilising loads of tracks from Andy C. Always used to love his stuff back in the 90s. He had some real bangers then, and he still does by all accounts. I've been listening to What Bass. I think the other one was Back and Forth as well. That one's a really great tune for that sort of tempo running. Home in that bass as well is a real stonker. Some fantastic, really filtered bass sounds there, and the beats are pristine. They're really sort of polished and pounding, and they really keep the tempo up, really keep the cadence going. So I can't recommend Andy C's stuff, you know, higher. It's really, really great for that sort of tempo-paced running if you're getting ready for your marathon or half marathon. Go and check out some of his drum and bass tunes at Andy C. Thanks for tuning in, people. Always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up like too. Drop us a comment to help with the algorithm. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you